go out. I like to party. I like to get wild. I like to party. I like to go out. I like to party. I like to get wild. I like to party.
What they say, yo, send tune a road there, you road boy. Send tune a road.
I like to go out. I like to party. I like to get wild. I like to party. I like the way you look at me when we up in the club. I like the way you look at me when you showing me love. I like to go out. I like to party. I like to get wild. I like to party. I like the way you look at me when we up in the club. I like the way you look at me when you showing me love. I like to go out. I like to party. I like to get wild. I like to party. I like to go out. I like to party. I like to get wild. I like to party.
With the commish, Nate.
All right, everybody. I am still playing injured, but it's okay. We are back with Press Pass Live. Let me welcome in my good buddy, Mr. Maniac. He's going to strap me on his back, carry me throughout the rest of this podcast. Maniac, you staying warm, bud?
Trying to, man. It's we're preparing for the ice age here in 2026. So,
well, strap in because this might be a long one. What up, Kevo? Good to see Kevin around, who's completely abandoned his friends. He does not like us anymore. Does not hang out with us anymore. Just sort of is what it is. We're very sad about the whole situation, but hopefully one day we'll be able to get him to come back and hang out with us. All right, let's break down some games. We're going to use our friends over at Neon Sports here today. Again, as you can hear, I'm still very sick. I am currently wanting to pass away from this massive sinus headache in my head right now. Poor Maniac is feeling it. He's been out in the wet and the cold trying to get ready for this storm. So, listen, we're playing injured, but we showed up today. And I am excited that you showed up here today. I expect you to help us out by smashing that like button, being involved in the chat, and helping us out here. We also appreciate our friends over at Neon Sports. Okay, let's pull up the schedule here. We're going to clear week 11. We're going to go all the way back to 8. We're going to go 8, 9, and 10, cover some games. I am just going to quickly touch on these, and then Mr. Maniac's going to tell us what game we want to break down here. Priest beats Nysonger 37-30. In a weird game here between two teams that I haven't quite been able to wrap my head around who wants to win and who doesn't over there. Mr. J. Bowles, 35, Luca 29. The Jets and James with a 47-28 victory over Lost Sniper. Now, here's one thing I don't know by looking at this, because we're using Neon Sports and we don't usually track this stuff in Neon Sports, is if these are any sims, but my buddy's, he's got the CFM up, so he'll be able to tell me if any of these were any kind of sim games. Colin comes away with a 34-31 victory over Tim. D. Wayne with a 37-27 victory over Bill. D-Money with a 28-0 win over Twinkie. Meek with a 45-30 victory over Bill in New York. The 49ers and Zoe with a big-time win, 37-35 over Rod. 42 Trey, 14 Mr. Bronco Man, but he moved over to a team that was not really made for him. Mr. Randy will get that thing turned around there. Panther Nation, Mr. Byron, the 36-7 victory over our brand new guy, Simple. And then Roger with a 24-19 victory over Denbrew. Nipples with a 25-12 victory over Little Koch. The Miami Dolphins and Massimo with a 20-17 victory over my Saints. And this was day one of me being sick. This was not fun. I did not enjoy playing that game. Big Hurt with a 25-24 victory over Joker. And then wrapping us up, a 28-20 victory, Bird over Cincyberg. Mr. Maniac, which one of these you want to talk about, buddy?
Yeah, all those were actually played, I think, except for Birdman. I think he played the CPU because Cincyberg's out of town. So it looked like he scraped by one there on the CPU. So there are a lot of good games. You just talked about Chicago, Detroit. That was a good one. The one I wanted to look at a little closer, though, is Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills, 24-25 win there for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Looking at the player stats, quarterbacks were struggling in this game. We only had one touchdown pass. Baker Mayfield had the lone touchdown pass, but 2 interceptions apiece for these guys. Baker Mayfield was sacked twice by the Bills' defensive rush. But Mr. Tootin, he's still doing his thing. Only 9 carries, 140 yards.
That shocked me too.
Yeah. And there's been a lot of games where he's actually had 20 and 25 carries, but only 9 for 104. Pacheco, he had a decent game here as well. 20 carries, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had to grind his out, obviously. And you look at Tootin there with the 70 for the long. So he got a big chunk of his on one play. But this game looked like one of those type of games that was a little bit more grinded out. See who's going to make the pivotal mistake to seal the game. And it looked like both just kind of played it on the cusp here. 14 tackles for Renshaw for the free safety for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a big stat there. A lot of tackles. 1 interception also as well for Renshaw. Lloyd second there with 11, and then Herrick there with 11 as well with a pick also. And then Kelly, Rousseau, and Jackson were the sack guys in this one. But just overall looking at that stat there with the 4 interceptions total with 1 touchdown pass, this game was just back and forth. You can look at the box score there, the points scored per quarter. It was nip and tuck all the way through this game. And Jacksonville was just able to get that 1-point win there. So, but I think this was a good game. Time of possession. Another one, you look at that and you're like, man, Buffalo had the ball for nearly the entire game, 22 minutes, almost 23 minutes to 13 to Jacksonville. So, but sometimes those things, it doesn't matter, as long as you can get the victory, a 1-point victory here, but not make the crucial mistake in those situations. And sometimes that's what it takes. And Jacksonville squeaks out here.
Some really close games. I think we've seen that a lot this Madden. We'll see that continue here as we look at week number 9. Green Bay falls to Luca 38-28. Kev, I seen you in the chat too, and the outcomes are still the same, buddy. We still don't see you and talk to you for months on end. Mr. Colin with a 38-17 victory over Nipple. Colin, man, getting some really nice wins here in the middle of the season. Dwayne with a 38-35 victory over Bird. Those two heavyweights punched their way to a really great game, an instant classic, and hopefully that'll get submitted. Denbrew with a 34-27 victory over Jay Bowles. Flaboy, Mr. Rod, with a 34-24 victory over Twinkie, continues to hang tough. One of these days, I believe he's going to get over that hump. Your Arizona Cardinals with a 55-28 victory over Tim. That's impressive. Anytime you can beat Tim by that kind of amount. Trey with a 26-14 victory over Byron. James bouncing back with a 19-17 victory over Simple. Bronco Man Randy with a 48-35 victory over Massimo. Lost Sniper with a 45-42 victory over Bill, and a really great offensive game between those two. Joker bounces back 28-17 over Little Koch, who has kind of lost his way here in season 118. I'm assuming here the CPU Atlanta Falcons with a 24 victory over Bill in New York, who has struggled to find his way with his new team, but I think is starting to put some pieces together after playing him last night. D-Money with a 34-9 victory over Zoe, and then finally wrapping up week number 9, Mr. Kevin with a 30-14 victory over Big Hurt. An impressive victory there for a red-hot Tampa Bay Bucks team against a really, really good Jaguars team that you just covered in week number 8. What we want to talk about here?
Well, I'll just intersect here. The shows it was not played, so I think this was a simulated.
Oh, there you go.
So, Kev.
Victory nonetheless.
Great team you put together, Kev. They're doing their business, even when you're not controlling them. So, man, there was a lot of good games you just rattled off there. Really, some impressive games. Cincinnati. I have to point this out. I actually started to talk about this one. Maybe I should. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this. Cincinnati ends the undefeated streak of the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders were going in this game 8-0, looking to continue that, and this game goes into overtime. I was actually watching a little bit of this one. So both teams could not get the rushing game going. 65 for the Bengals, 46 for the Raiders. But, man, they were kind of getting it going through the air, especially the last part of the game where I was watching. I was like, man, these guys are slinging it. First downs, kind of similar there. The one thing I wanted to point out, the turnovers, big factor here. Cincinnati, 0 interceptions. Peters with 4 interceptions. I think coming into this game, he was the only starting quarterback that did not have an interception thrown on the season. So, and then he goes and throws 4 of them here in this game. So, big stat there that really probably costed him the game if you look at it from that point. Receivers, Bowers with 7 catches. Excuse me. Something went down the wrong way there. 117 yards and a touchdown. Chase getting it done for the Bengals. 7 catches, 112 yards. Didn't get in the end zone, though. Harden, 5 for 89. Thornton, this is the guy that you always see. It seems like he has 3 and 4 and 5 touchdown catches. The Bengals had him in check. 6 receptions, though, 83 yards, 0 touchdown. I think this week is when you've seen a lot of the fantasy football leaderboard switch, because like I think 3 or 4 of the guys that are in the top of that had this guy as one of their top players, and so this kind of helped shake up things in the fantasy football league. But overall, I mean, this was a great game. I know Denbrew, his team hasn't played up to par. He was having a fire sale. But to go in and actually unseat the undefeated team at this point in the season, and then also create the turnovers that he did with Peters, because that's impressive on Jay Bowles' part as well. To go this far into the season with no interceptions with your starting quarterback was impressive. But so far, just as impressive by the Bengals to caused him to have 4 turnovers in this game with a 34-27 victory. So good game though.
Yeah, some really good games. And to do that against arguably the hottest team in the league, very impressive, and shows when Denbrew has an opportunity, he can turn that on. And yeah, shout out to my guy Denbrew. He's not going to be doing the news for us right now, maybe ever. I don't know. I hope he decides to do it again. But he's going through a lot, and I just want to shout out to my guy. I got to meet him a couple weeks ago. A jewel of a human being. His wife was spectacular, and I wish we would have had more time with them. But they were not here to hang out with us. They were here to hang out with their friends, and he was kind enough to let us take him out to a little brunch and some ice cream. So it was a good time. All right, let's cover week number 10. Maniacs, some more great games right ahead of us. Jay Ballas bounces back with an impressive victory over Trey, 37-34 after throwing those 4 picks. Twinkie decides to hang 55 on James with a 55-48 victory there. Your Arizona Cardinals with another impressive victory, 34-31, and we need to start having real conversations about the Cardinals being the hottest team in the league. Take a picture, guys. Freeze frame this, because this is the happiest my buddy is ever going to be playing Madden. Priest bounces back with a 41-13 victory over Nice-Unger. Heart goes out to Nice-Unger. He went back to his favorite team. He was coming off a lot of potential. He just has not been able to put the pieces together there in Minnesota. But keep building, buddy. I believe in you. Rod with a 41-17 victory over Massimo. Trey bounces back 31-5 over a team I can't figure out to save my life, Little Koch and those Cleveland Browns. My Saints with a 28-17 victory over Simple in a great game that was hard fought. Got my teeth punched in. Also, a back-to-back. I haven't done back-to-back on the same stream in a very long time. It was quite the grind last night. Thank you, Trey, for making me stay up an extra 20 minutes later than I should have. Lost Sniper with a 42-32 victory over Joker. Roger and Big Hurt play into a defensive battle here. 16-14. Big Hurt comes out on top. Another defensive battle as Bill comes out on top, 10-7 over our buddy Luca. Denbrew with a back-to-back here, 23-10 over Randy. I know that had to feel good after getting his own team beat up by those Colts when Randy was winning championships over there in Indianapolis. Colin with a 34-31 victory over D-Money. That's a weird one. I don't know what happened to D-Money. That team is taking a 2-game skid here. Zoe bounces back with a 35-33 victory over Byron. Impressive victory. And then finally, Mr. Kevin having his way with Birdman. I got to see Birdman a little later that night after they played, and he said Kevin is just a jerk. 47-20 over the Carolina Panthers. Which one do you want to talk about, Maniac?
Man, there is some really kind of odd scores in this week. 5 by Cleveland. And then you have the Houston-Jacksonville game 16-14, and the Giants and Chiefs game 10-7. Like, what on earth? I don't know if these guys are playing in weather games or what the deal is, but talk about some defense from some of these guys. And I'll talk about the Giants and the KC game. I don't know. You talk about a lot of the guys, scoring points and points and points. Well, let's see what happened with the defensive game here. So Jackson Dart had a touchdown and also an interception. He was 14-26. Both quarterbacks for 53% completion percentage. Patrick Mahomes and the Shocks fan haven't been able to get it together this Madden so far, but 1 touchdown, 1 interception as well, and he was sacked twice. The rushing game, both guys okay. I mean, probably the Giants had a little bit better rushing attack, it shows here, with the Nin having 40 and Scadaboo with 35. Cook, though, struggled. Smith struggled. They could not get nothing going in the rushing game. Hitchcock was probably the star of this game here with 8 receptions, 165 yards, and a touchdown. The rookie here from Old Dominion and the New York Giants look like he's maybe found him a gym here to go along with Neighbors and some of the weapons he has. Jordan had 7 for 99, another rookie. So this was kind of the battle of the rookies here in this game. Defensive side of the ball, we talked about it. This is obviously a defensive game, 10-7. 10 tackles by Cook for the free safety. A lot of free safeties leading the tackle stat here as we look at stats throughout these weeks. The Giants, Olcombe with 8. He had 2 tackles for a loss. And then your sack leaders was Sanders and Gillette and Carter, all each having a sack apiece. Interceptions, Williams, the cornerback here for the Chiefs, had 1, and then also Holland had 1 for the Giants. So anyway, it's kind of one of those things. Like you said, you look at the stats. We see all these guys putting up, 12 catches, 280 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. But here's one. You hardly got any stats from these guys except for a couple rookies making some impacts for these teams. But, man, 7 points in the first half by the Giants. And then they had to get the field goal there at the end. Looked like to squeak out that 10-7 victory, though. That's one, though. If you like defense, you would have been tuned into this one, like going like that. This is an awesome game.
Yep, I agree. What up, basketball? What up, Wayne? Mr. Wayne is in the chat hanging out with us. Hope you're staying warm, bud. I know he's going to be right on that line up there of some really ugly, nasty weather. So be safe out there, buddy. I was kind of looking forward to it. I think we're going to miss it. I think it's going to stay like right above where we're at. And I was kind of looking forward to being really, really cold. Now, not loss of electricity and all that stuff, but I was looking forward to being cold, light the fireplace. That would have been fun. All right, we're going to go to the OMFL news. I have not got to change the graphic. So you're going to see Dim Brew's beautiful face, but it is not Dim Brew's beautiful voice. Instead, you're going to hear our good buddy Joker. He's going to go ahead and do the news this week. I know that Tim wants to help out doing the news, and I'm hoping I can still twist Mr. Dimper's arm to come back again one day. And who knows, maybe even Tony Bono will show up one day. We'll be right back.
Old Man Knows Ball, Game of the Week. Neon Sports calls it Game of the Week. Browns at the lines. I'm calling it the Tank Bowl. The Browns have one bright spot on their defense. Defensive tackle Keenan, 12 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and a forced fumble. One guy still playing like it matters to win. On the other hand, the Lions, the quarterback Farkas can't get St. Brown the ball, and that's not a trend, that's bad football. And defensively, when your top 4 tacklers are all defensive backs, you've got holes everywhere up front. So who wins this thing? The team that messes up the less. I'll take the Browns because at least one man on the line is wrecking games. I don't need trends. I don't need excuses. I just need tape. This has been Old Man Knows Ball, OMFL News.
There you have it, our good buddy. Old Man Knows Ball. I love it. Joker's such a good dude. Yeah, I love the effort that people put in to just trying something that's maybe uncomfortable for them. Now, Joker's he's a tattoo artist, a very good one, very successful one. And so I don't know that was necessarily uncomfortable. He's a character. I'm sure he's used to being a personality out there. But Old Man Knows Ball, using a little script to help him out there. We got one more OMFL news. But right now I want to talk surprises, Maniac. It wasn't a ton for me to talk about, mainly because I got sick brained. But you and I just talked about and tossed around the idea of just talking about surprises. And I got one that I don't know is necessarily a real surprise because it's in that sort of middle lane here. But you look at the top teams here in the AFC and the NFC. You got the Vegas Raiders at 9-1, and then sort of the cliff falls off. A bunch of 3 and 4 and 6 lost teams, and then over here in the NFC, you got the Cardinals and the Cowboys each with 1 loss. Now, Washington and the Rams right there with only 2 losses, but both of them have had 2 losses here relatively lately, and then a bunch of 4, 5, and 6 lost teams. And so I think that's a surprise to me, is to see there seems to be a pretty harsh cliff there where things just sort of fall off. And it's going to be really fun to see how does this play out towards the end of the season. Who starts to float to the top? Who beats each other up? What teams begin to separate themselves? But to me, that's an early surprise. Giving it back to you. Any surprises so far in season 118?
Yeah, I mean, looking at surprises, and I think you made good points about. I think looking at the AFC, especially, I mean, they're there's one team that really has solidified themselves as the number one team, and then you have a bunch of 6-win teams. It's just like everybody's like the same, but the Raiders have been like that's much of a step above the NFC. It's a little bit closer, but still, there's a little bit of parity there. The one thing, though, I will say the big surprise was that the Raiders, and nothing against Jay Bowles, I would have never thought, though, that he would have been the last team
Yeah.
to actually be playing for an undefeated season. I think we sit here in the show at the start of the season. I said, well, it's going to be, D Money, and I think maybe I named off Rob for the Commanders and Dwayne. That was my pick. So, and then all of a sudden, here's Jay Bowles. He was the last man standing, and it took overtime effort from Denver to dethrone him from that. So, I just think the big surprise here is I'm really impressed with how well Jay Bowles has played. And I know he's a great player, but he's just I think he's taking it to another level, and so that's a big surprise.
Yeah, I think another big surprise to me was some of the movement that we had with owners. Unfortunately, one of our friends, Pepper, decided I'm just kind of over Madden. He took off last Madden, tried to come back, and just doesn't vibe with it right now. And then one that caught me by surprise was Jay Glaze. Did not expect that. There was no hint to that. That comment caught me completely off guard. And there was almost a couple more that will happen this week and may still happen in the future. I don't know. It's going to be up to those owners. But that shift of power, you got the Colts, the champion, Randy, built a dominant team. He takes over the Broncos. That opened up the AFC South completely. That's a big surprise. You got Big Hurt over there now. You got a brand new owner in Indianapolis. Roger's still doing what Roger does. Another new owner there in Tennessee trying to rebuild that team. Byron goes over to Pittsburgh. Cincinnati sometimes wants to win. Cleveland sometimes doesn't know what he wants to do. Like the whole AFC and the power structure this season has sort of been up in the air. And I think the AFC, to come off of what you were just saying about the AFC, has been really, really surprising, especially that AFC South and that AFC North. And to see how those two races play out are going to be really, really fun. Any other surprises?
I already kind of touched on this, but I don't know if I've ever saw a team go into like week 8 and his quarterback not have an interception.
Yeah.
I mean that I know I already talked about it and stuff, but you don't understand how big of a achievement that is. Like that is pretty spectacular. I mean, I don't think I've ever went 2 games without throwing at least one pick, in between there, here and there and stuff. So to go that many games, I think that's impressive. I do want to say this too, that you saw the Bengals. He was doing a fire sale. He was selling. I think he had his entire team on the trade block in there at one point, and but he's still very competitive, and he's in this. I mean, he's only 2 games out of this, and I know what the draft capital that he's got and stuff from doing some trades, and if he's somehow able to get into the playoffs and make some noise. And right now he's playing the Seahawks, and they're in a 38-31 game, by the way. But if he traded those guys away, got those draft picks, and then all of a sudden he kind of gets hot and gets on a run, I think that's going to be an impressive thing and a surprising thing to actually go into sell mode and then all of a sudden get hot and make it into the playoffs. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yep, I agree. I wanted to pull up a couple of stats here, and there were definitely some that caught me by surprise. When you see rushing leaders, the Jets are up there, top 5 in rushing leaders. The other teams don't surprise me. I think that's why we're seeing a lot of them win, but yet the Jets have not been able to get that kind of winning momentum going for him, but yet he's still top 5 in rushing. I think if you look at some of these defensive rushing leaders, some of those are surprising, especially with my Saints, with as terrible of an overall team. The Bears, who've struggled to kind of get all the pieces put together, yet he's number one in rushing. Look at some of these other leaders here, especially on the passing offensive side of things. Raj, we know what he can do, but look, Collins right there at number 3, Joker's right there at number 5, and then your number one passing leader in the entire league is going to be our guy, Lost Sniper. On the defensive side, to see Shocks up there. He's number 3 in the league, and then Dimper right behind him at number 4 in the league. So you can see it takes more than just being really good at one thing. You have to be able to put together an entire team. And I think that's the biggest surprise, is that moving to All Madden has forced us to build a whole well-rounded team. And if teams can do that, I think the winning ways will find themselves. And if not, you're going to have to continue to try to build that well-rounded team. Any last thoughts as we wrap things up here with surprises?
Yeah, I was kind of looking at, I don't know if Neon Sports is a little bit off from the Madden in the game, because I was looking at, just trying to follow you along with the passing stats and stuff. Right now, it's showing in the franchise that the Packers are, which I know we're getting stats from this week also, from the games that are played.
There you go.
But he's at 2,906 yards passing. He's tops in the league right now, currently in the Madden franchise. And he's actually been on a little bit of a winning streak, which is kind of surprising as well. I know he had commented in the chat the other day something about changing his throwing setting or something. He went to the I just total control or whatever that other one is that's allowed from the rules. But anyway, he said he switched to it. So, but he's got 34 passing touchdowns on the season, and then right opposite of that, when we've seen before from Priest, when he's had successful teams in the past where he dominated in the rushing attack, and then we've always seen him kind of implode on when he starts just flinging the ball around. But now it's kind of opposite. He's bottom 5 in the league in rushing right now. I think he only has like 5 rushing touchdowns, 7 rushing touchdowns, like that. Only 700 total rushing yards on the season. So he's completely like abandoned the run. He's went totally pass happy, and it's actually kind of working for him. So I don't know, that he'll be an interesting to want to keep an eye on, see how things unfold as the season progresses. But having 34 touchdown passes and leading the league right now with those passes. So we'll see how that continues, and does he get hit by the interception bug? Yeah,
I just noticing something as well, that the stats are not right on Neon. I don't know what happened. I'm gonna have to figure this out. I trust a couple of the other guys that do the importing help us out with that, but something went haywire, because it's showing that we've played 18 weeks, and we have not played 18 weeks. We're currently in week number 11. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but I'll figure it out.
That might be affecting the fantasy football league too.
That's a good point. I'm gonna have to work with some of the guys to figure that out. All right, we're gonna be right back. We're gonna do one more OMFL news with our guy Joker. When we get back, we're gonna look at the mailbag, which I think is empty right now, and then I got a question for Mr. Maniac as we put a bow in this thing.
OMFL MVP race, Old Man Edition. All right, listen up, because I'm not saying this twice. Everybody wants to be an MVP, but not everybody is earning it. Right? Now this race clearer than you think, folks. At the top, I am Raiders quarterback, 2,306 yards, 25 touchdowns with only 4 interceptions. That's called taking care of the damn football. Something half the league has forgotten how to do, especially me. He ain't flashy, he ain't begging for attention, he just wants to show up and win games. And yeah, the Raiders got another guy in this race, Dante Thornton Jr., that's who I throw to. 56 catches, 1,357 yards, 15 touchdowns. That ain't That ain't system stats. That's just plain truth. That's beating your man and embarrassing your secondary. You know he's getting the ball and you still can't stop it. End of the story. Now, third on that is Chance McMillan with the Cowboys. The running back don't start with that. Running backs don't matter nonsense. 970 on the ground, 12 touchdowns, add 333 yards receiving with 4 more scores. That's a football player. That's a guy doing dirty work while everyone else celebrates. Fourth on that list, my own Josh Allen. Yeah, the interceptions are high. Yeah, it ain't pretty. But 2,433 yards, 24 touchdowns, and over 300 rushing yards. You may not like how it looks, but you sure as hell don't like playing against it. And rounding out the top 5 is Trey Benson, the Cardinals running back. 1,134 yards, 15 touchdowns. Week after week after week. No drama, no excuses. Just lines up and runs through people. So here's the deal, people. If you value protecting the ball and winning football games, Ian Peters is your MVP. If you like fireworks, arguments, and bad decisions, well, that's why they let fans vote. I don't need trends. I don't need excuses. I just need the tape. This is Old Man Knows Ball, and that's the OMFL News.
There you have it. Old Man Knows Ball. I apologize for the little echo that we had there, but I think we got that thing cleaned up. It's been a while since we've had OMFL News, and I was also trying to figure out how to fix some of these stats things that are happening here. I don't know what happened, but we'll get it figured out anyway. The OMFL mailbag is empty. Everybody, it's just a weird time right now. It feels like it's been a weird cycle. Engagement sort of ebbs and flows, and it's just been hard to wrap my head around. I'm behind on stuff because I've been sick and just craziness happening. But Mr. Maniac, let's talk about things that people can do improve. You are by far the most improved team this Madden cycle. You got those Arizona Cardinals hopping around. What's one thing that you think an owner could do to improve and win more games here in the OMFL?
Yeah, I mean, so I know like the first 2 seasons, I think I won 4 games the first season of this Madden, and then I think I won 5 last season. And so I'm at 8-1 right now. The thing that I just did, and this has been kind of my plan from the start, because I knew taking on the Cardinals was like it was going to be a project. So, and I'm not always the most patient person with projects. Obviously, you can probably tell by some of the things when you're watching my games in the first couple of seasons. I was just I can be my own worst enemy. But my plan going into this entire Madden was to build through the draft the first 2 seasons. As bad as I wanted to, I kept my draft picks though, and I kept them, and I built my team around those guys. And I think a lot of times, you can get to where you get a little bit impatient. And again, like I said, I'm not the world's most patient person.
Not you.
I tried I tried to force myself to be a little bit more patient. And I think that's where you have to look at like what type of team you have. And I look at guys, and I'm not trying to pick on them. I'm not trying to pick on these guys or make them feel bad or whatsoever. That's the reason why I brought myself into this conversation first. But you look at like Nysonger, when he was with Jacksonville, he was dominating. He took back his favorite team. They're just not. He had Jacksonville kind of built the way he wanted them and stuff, and so he was really competing over there. And now he goes back over to his favorite team, and things are different. Hurt was trying to build it around the way he wanted it, and he kind of messed it up for Nysonger really good now. So now it's gonna be something that he's gonna have to try to be patient with and build. Hopefully, probably. For me, I think there's a process. You have to have at least 2 seasons to get a team turned around, and you're looking at probably the last season of this cycle is probably when he's going to be able to really be competitive. Now, some guys may be a little bit better at building the team. I think D Money is one of those guys. He can take the lowest rated team, and by the end of that Madden season, the first season, into the second season, he can have them being the best or competitive to the point where he can win championships with them and be the way he wants them. But I really think though you have to look at just being patient, and you have to have a game plan. I think you just can't fly by the seat of your pants. I think you just can't go in like, well, I'm just going to trade all my guys and get draft picks. I think you have to have a good mixture. And I talked about this before in previous Maddens where we talked about Roger. I felt like one of the things with Roger was he traded away everybody. Yeah, he got draft picks, but then it was always a process of having young guys constantly and then having to build them. And then by the time they got to a point where they could really compete, he was trading them away again and getting more draft picks. So I know each guy to their own has a process that they like to do and enjoy. But I think you've seen some things from Roger change that he trades away, but he also keeps some of those guys that are really competitive for him for his team. And now you see him having better and more competitive seasons, I think now. And in the last couple of Maddens, he has been a guy that you don't just walk into that game thinking that you're going to score 55 points and just whip the socks off of Roger now. You know, Roger is very competitive. Every time I've played him now, I go into the game scared that he's going to score 55 points on me, you know. So and I think that's just the mindset of where guys have to be patient, but you also have to have a game plan going into that particular situation of that build for that team. Because you and I, we had the number 1 and 2 worst teams coming into this Madden. That's kind of tough, and especially when you have the guys that play here. And I think you're doing a good job building the Saints. The Saints were a lot worse off than the Cardinals were, in my opinion. So, but I think now my team now is like a 90, 91 overall now. So they're just now getting those guys. I'm just now getting them built to where they're actually being very competitive in games, and I'm seeing the difference in that now compared to the first couple seasons. Some of those guys are actually making plays. So again, like I said, it just takes a little bit of patience and a game plan.
Yeah, I would say one thing, and I'll keep it short because you can hear my voice and I'm just tired of struggling here, but run the ball. I think if you look league wide at the running statistics, when you run the ball, it creates more opportunities for you to play action pass off of that, find some passing lanes, and also just kind of control the clock, control your kind of play calling and momentum and flow that you have. So I think if you just take your time, run the ball, and I'm talking more than 9 carries, more than 12 carries. I'm talking 15, 18, 20 carries. Even if you can get up to like 25, 27 overall with all of your running backs, right? You're going to give yourself time of possession. You're going to give yourself less opportunity to turn the ball over. And I think you're going to find some lower scoring games and more manageable games. Big Hurt says, Maniac, go get some water and oxygen after that. Oh, Big Hurt. You're the last one, Big Hurt, to talk about anybody talking too much. But
right.
Yeah.
No, I just want to point out too, I think that is a great point, because if you're able to run the ball, that to me, that is one of the most, being on the other side of that is the most pressuring thing. Because if you get the ball and you go down and you control the clock and you eat up most of the first quarter and you get a touchdown, then me being on the other side of that, I feel the pressure. I've got to go score. I have to go score. And anytime I have that feeling, 9 out of 10 times I make a mistake.
Yeah.
And that's where I get myself in trouble.
My guy Johnny Bow's in the house. What's up, bud? There's one guy that doesn't make a lot of mistakes unless he plays Denver. Then he makes 4 of them. But Maniac, close us out with a final thought as we wrap up Press Pass Live surprises of season 118.
Yeah, we had a lot of good surprises. I think we're talking about some of the scores from the last couple weeks. Again, I'm really surprised with Jay Bowles, and not taking nothing away from him. I just would have not expected him being the last team fighting for that undefeated season, and it took Denbrew to take him into overtime to snatch it away from him. So now, since that's out of the way, watch out, because there's a little bit of relief there. He's like, well, I don't have to try to make my undefeated season, and J Bowles has been playing some good football. I think overall, I hate all Madden, but I think you have to look at it from the pinpoint of like the scores and how things have progressed this season. I think has definitely been a plus, and I have to roll my eyes back and say that I hate it. I hate it with a passion, but also I have to acknowledge when something is doing better under a certain situation. So all Madden has been better for the league overall, in my opinion. So I've won 8 games and lost 1, but I think overall it has definitely improved. Defense, like I said, when I went to the first 2 seasons and didn't have one CPU pick from my team, it's like that was also rough too. So in general, Madden, it's got a lot of flaws, but it's hanging out with you guys, just like Press Pass Live. This is the highlight of my gaming experience. I really, the games, they're okay, and I like being competitive, but being able to talk about the guys' teams and different things like that's the joy of the community, and I love being a part of this community. And Hurt, I could talk for days about this community. So
Big Hurt can too, so trust me, he'll stay toe and toe. D-Wayne says, I like the positive maniac. I agree, positive maniac is the best kind of maniac, and I'd much rather these 10-7 games that we see here in All Madden than the 50 to 52 games that we were seeing on All Pro. Those things were getting a little out of hand. It's been a fun season. It's been a weird season, but it's been a fun season to see how it plays out. A lot of guys beating up on one another. As we start to turn the stretch here, by the time we come back next week, we'd have turned the stretch, and we'll see, sort of some playoff matchups, some potential races start to develop at the very beginning stages. So it should be a really fun time here. Guys, I played injured, but we got through it, and I appreciate all of you coming, hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're joining us a little later after we're live, leave us some comments down in the comment section. The algorithm loves that. We love the engagement. I love to see what you're thinking. Let me know some of your thoughts. And then give a shout out to Joker for doing some OMFL news. I know that Tim wants to do some OMFL news as well, so it should be a really good time. Guys, I'm out of here. Take care of yourselves. Be blessed. Be safe out there with this weather. We'll see you when we come back.
Deuces.
Smash that like and subscribe.